So the reviews are in, and it's time to get to them. That's Todd Vandenberg. Look, we found Lee Vowell. I'm Rob Steele, and I'm not reviewing anything this week. I'm just going to sit back and let the two of them fight it out over who liked A Star Is Born better. Because both of them saw it, and I stayed home because I have kids.
It depends on which version of A Star Is Born you're talking about. This is the fourth version of A Star Is Born, and I have seen the most recent version, and it is a good film. I have seen the first version, which is 81 years old now, and it is also a good film. I have seen the 1954 version, which is a great film, and I have seen one version which is really atrocious and kind of a train wreck. And that is not the most recent one. I'll get back to
DC did it, so it's okay. It doesn't count.
DC couldn't even have made something that bad. But anyway, this version, starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, and it's also, and I did a little blurb, said, 2 stars are born, Lady Gaga as an actress and Bradley Cooper as a director. This is his debut as a director, and it's a great movie. A lot of people, this is not like just something I'm saying. A lot of people are saying this is the early favorite for Best Picture, and it should be, because it's just extremely well constructed. It has to follow a lot of plans that are out there, because again, this is the fourth iteration of a film, and they all follow the basic same plot line of a male star on his star is falling, and he hooks up with a young female and helps her launch her career. And there are problems between the two of them because it's difficult for him to handle the fact that his career is on decline and hers is rising. It's very well done. To me, they just really threw down the gauntlet, because the first song Lady Gaga sings, excuse me, is La Vie en Rose, which is like the signature song of Edith Piaf, one of the greatest singers of the past century. So when you start off, when the first song your singer does in a musical is something like that, you're just saying, okay, be prepared to be blown away, because that's a big challenge to step up to that song. And it's Lady Gaga, who's got a terrific voice, and she nails it, of course, because she's Lady Gaga. But the way it's presented is really smart, because she's just singing this song in a drag bar, so there's really no one around, and that's what the flaw that actually happens in the other versions, because the person should have been noticed sooner because of the setting. Like Judy Garland and James Mason star in the 1954 version, which is the only version which is close to as good as the new one. So I'll say right now, I think the new one is the best version. She is first seen singing at a presentation. It's not the Oscars, but it's a presentation for basically the movie industry. So everyone is there. Everyone who should notice sees her sing. And yet she needs help getting her career launched. So that's a problem with that film. There aren't many problems with that film, but that's one of the problems with that movie. Gaga has to be discovered, and so the setup is very well done. If you've not seen any of the movies, that's kind of weird that you'd be interested in A Star Is Born, but obviously there's a certain thing that happens at the end. She pays tribute at the very end to her husband, and in the Garland Mason version, she says it just ends by saying, "Hello, I'm Mrs. Norman Maine," rather than Vicki Lester, which was her stage name, which is how everybody knew her. So she's paying tribute, saying, hey, this is part of my identity. I'm remembering my husband, which is a cool, very big moment. She doesn't do that quite the same way in this film. And at first I thought, wow, I'm surprised they kind of blew that. They didn't. Mm-mm. The close is fantastic. As Lee says, you're right. I mean, it's a great ending. It's just chilling. That ending is just absolutely note perfect, which is one of the reasons I think Cooper will win Best Director, and why I think the movie will win Best Picture. It's terrific. So in order of ranking, I would say the new version, the 2018 version of A Star Is Born, is the best. Just beats out the 1954 version, which is actually almost 3 hours long, the restored version with James Mason and Judy Garland. Then comes the original 1937 version, which actually had more humor in it than I was expecting, but it's still a very good movie and sets the template. And then there's the train wreck 1976 thing with Barbra Streisand, which is, like I said, it's atrocious. There's one good song. It's a freaking musical, and there's one good song in it. One. The rest are just like, I don't know. They must have just picked up some trash in a gutter and put words together, because, man, they're terrible. And I'll say I don't care for Chris Christopherson's singing style at all. So his songs didn't do anything for me because they never have. His acting is good. Streisand's singing is terrific. It's just most of the songs are atrocious. and her character is in so many of her films she plays Babs. Like I know I'm the ugly duckling, but oh my gosh, I'm so cute, I'm irresistible. It's like, no, you're not. You're obnoxious. And it's the same freaking character. And it's like, nobody would like this character. Nobody would like this character. The movie, absolutely. I remember it as not being particularly good. So when I saw it this week, I thought, God, that movie's terrible. No wonder it took them decades to try to remake it, just to let the stench get away from it. I mean, basically, it was a vanity work because she was seeing John Peters, who is the producer of the film, and John Peters, because he still has the rights to it, that's why John Peters is one of the producers of this version, and because there were lots of things of sexual harassment in his past and stuff, so Bradley Cooper got a little bit of heat for having John Peters involved, but he had to, because he had the property, and Cooper made that very clear and apologized for not even realizing the situation. But if you want, there's no way around it. I mean, you want to make the movie, that's what he had to do. So thankfully, this is not a vanity version. I mean, Cooper is excellent, Gaga is excellent, and I'm talking about her acting. And Lee, jump in and fill in the rest about the new version, please.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Everything you said was 100% correct, but Cooper didn't just direct it, as you pointed out, co-produced. He also co-wrote the script, and he co-wrote the songs. Most of the songs and the scenes where he plays a rock musician, basically, or I mean, he's a rock musician, but they wanted authenticity in this film. A risk at that because the scenes with he and Gaga on stage were filmed at Bonnaroo and what's the other big music festival? Anyway, they took a chance. I mean, those could have fallen flat. So what we're watching is actually them performing the songs in real life. And it's really good. I didn't know Bradley Cooper could sing, nor did I think he could play the guitar. He actually does both of those really well.
He does.
So I thought that was really what separated the film. To me, the authenticity that they strove for and actually reached successfully. The other thing is any movie to me really in a movie, unless it's like Airplane or something, any movie you go into, you kind of ask it. Look, I've put my $12 down or whatever you pay. It's like you have to prove to me that my money was worth me watching you and throughout the whole thing. And it's like you have some haymakers that are being thrown in the first part of every movie, conceptually speaking. And then by the end of this movie, you're done. And you're just getting hit with haymaker after haymaker. And the movie has proven itself that it is fantastic. And so I went to see it with my girlfriend, Donna, who has had a different kind of loss. If anybody's seen the movies, they kind of know what we're alluding to.
Yeah.
She didn't deal with somebody who had Bradley Cooper in the movie has a bad drug and alcohol problem. But after the movie, she was just so emotionally worn out. We stood in the parking lot for 15 minutes and she just cried.
Wow. And
because that's the effect that the movie has. And it's not... It was an effect because that's what the point was. It was supposed to have an emotional connection with the viewer, and it does that 100% correct, and it does it 100% well, and it's a great movie. I mean, people should see it. And just like I said, the fact that they strove for that authenticity instead of just like, oh, we can auto-tune this crap and not really, we can superimpose crowds out there, but what you're seeing really happened. So and I like that part of the movie.
That has to help.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, I mean, to me, the revelation is that Gaga was as good as an actor as she was, and that Cooper, he doesn't compare to Gaga's voice because she's got an incredible voice.
And he doesn't try to.
He doesn't need to, right, because that's not his style, but he sounds great. Yeah. He really does. I mean, it's, like you said, Lee, it's a great movie. Absolutely a great movie.
Wanted to ask you guys this, since I'm not really doing a whole lot in this show. There was a lot of stuff made before this movie came out about how Lady Gaga's fans were flooding Twitter with bad reviews of Venom because they came out on the same day so that they could boost A Star Is Born in the box office, which it didn't work. Venom actually came in first both weekends, I think, that it's been out.
Right.
Was that really... Do you really think that was a necessary thing?
Her fans may have been taking a chance at dismissing the box office, and they were just taking a guess. But I guess they were right, because Venom seems to be really bad as far as a film. But I don't know. I mean, how much of effect are you really going to have? I mean, there's like millions of Gaga fans, but how much of that is going to translate to film? If it was Taylor Swift putting out an album or something like that, maybe that would have an effect. But a film,
And there's millions of comic book fans and Marvel fans and Venom fans. I mean, I think it had zero effect. I think it's stupid that they did that because it could have had backlash against them. But the main thing is, think about the audience. I mean, there's not a lot of crossover between these audiences now. I'm going to go see Venom at some point, but it's not like, it's not like the Batman fans are saying, "Oh, don't go see Venom." It's like, what the hell are you thinking of? That's just absolutely ridiculous, regardless of what the competition was. And I
think a lot of the Marvel fans know that, hey, it's a Marvel movie not being made by Marvel. It's not going to be that good.
It's very true. To me, I think it's just part of the problem with social media is so much of it is negative, as opposed to, it would have been much smarter on their part to say, "Oh my gosh, the reviews are awesome. Gaga not only can sing, but she acts. She's fantastic. Go see this," rather than posting fake crap about another movie. That's really bad tactics, which that's the kind of the world we live in, right? How many times do we see politicians who 9 out of 10 of their ads are everything bad about the other person instead of the good that they're going to do? So not too surprising in this world, sadly. Shame on them. But A Star is Born is great, so don't worry about what some misguided fans did.
Yeah, that's just this world, as opposed to people who are trying to go to other worlds, which kind of is a segue to the other movie Lee saw this week. See, I'm not even in the show, and I'm doing segues for you, Lee.
Oh, sorry, I was posting a bad review of Can You Ever Forgive Me, the Richard E. Grant film that comes out, because I'm such a big Hugh Grant film that I didn't want anybody to see this film.
Right.
So I saw the other film I've seen recently is First Man. I chose to see that over the El Royale film that nobody can remember the name of, which I still want to see, and I think it'll be entertaining. I just don't know if it would be good. But at this point, you get late in the year, and you kind of want to see films. At least I do. You kind of want to see films that may be nominated for awards. Last year, I was lucky enough to see all the films that got nominated for Best Picture. First Man has excellent reviews. Stars Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. I was a little bit let down because when I first saw the thing about First Man, I was thinking, oh, it's about Louis Armstrong and it'll have a lot of jazz in it. I was totally misled. But and also the character of Buzz Aldrin is CGI'd. It's just a Toy Story character. So actually that adds to it. No, but seriously, the movie is extremely well done. It's done by Ryan Gosling and the same director he had for what's the musical?
La La Land.
Yes,
Land.
Damien Chazelle. And I think the directing is very good. What he does with the directing, I think, that has an effect is the fact that, and I'm not going to go over the whole premise, the guy went to the moon and he came back. That's the thing. If you don't know anything about it, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kyrie Irving. But but basically, the effect that he has is he uses loud noises and soft noises a lot throughout the film. So basically, what you're seeing, you're feeling the effect of this rocket is launching, for instance, or they've just landed on the moon and there is no sound. And the way he films them landing on the moon, Neil Armstrong getting out of the ship and walking down the steps, you're watching that from like a first person perspective, at least as far as that goes. So it feels like you're walking onto the moon for the first time, and there's no sound, and there's no sound in the audience because the audience is reacting to what they're watching as well. Obviously Apollo 13 won Best Picture. This is a better movie than Apollo 13. It's done the same way that, what we were just talking about with Bradley Cooper, the way he directed Star is Born, and the same way that I think Peter Weir directs a lot of his films, is the film is done in a way where it's not like they don't have to tell you or explain everything to you. They understand that the audience is intelligent enough to figure out what's going to happen next, or assume what's going to happen next is taken place. So what you're watching is a story involved without that mundaneness of the storytelling, whereas like, oh, guess what? They have the ship, and then this is what they did to the ship, and then the ship did. It's like you're watching the ship, you're watching the details of his family and how it's having an effect, and you're watching, the things that led up to that launch when they took off, as far as other missions not going so well and people dying, but you're not having to be explained that this is exactly how they took off. because that's not important. The importance is the emotional quality that people felt, and it shows people watching across the world when the moon landing happens, because that's the importance of the film, is the emotional connection of this is what we did as mankind. So even though there's a lot of elements to the film as far as loss and astronauts that have died or whatever. And actually, I didn't know this about Neil Armstrong, but I guess he had a daughter that was a very young daughter that was sick before he even joined the space program, who died. So you have that connection. So it's really an emotion-based film instead of scientific film, like a documentary that you're watching. I think that's really what puts this film over other films like it, is the emotional connection that you feel with Ryan Gosling's character, Neil Armstrong, or Claire Foy, who plays Armstrong's wife. Or some of the other astronauts that are involved. It's a film. You want to go to a film like this, and you want to be emotionally connected to something, because that's what films like this should really do. They're human beings about being made by human beings about human beings, and you're a human being yourself. You should have a connection emotionally with that human being in a real life story like this. So I thought that was the successful part of this film. I like Ryan Gosling in almost everything, and I thought he was great. And he played his role. Claire Foy is fantastic, and I've never seen her again in anything that she hasn't been spectacular in. She's fabulous in this, and I think the directing is excellent. So definitely worth seeing First Man. I think of the films I've seen this year, First Man and Star is Born both deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. I'm not sure who will win, but I think both of them merit that opportunity.
You beat me to it. I was going to ask which is going to win.
And I was too.
If I had to choose, I would choose Star is Born, just because I feel like it's weightier and fuller. But First Man is excellent as well.
So you said it's better than Apollo. Do you view Apollo 13 as how do you view Apollo 13?
I think it's really, really well done. The acting is great. I just feel like
okay.
I just feel like the emotional connection that is built with the characters in First Man is greater than it was in Apollo 13.
That's awesome, because that's why I was curious, is like what you felt about Apollo 13, because if you thought it's okay, well then, but yeah, if you really like Apollo 13 a lot, which you clearly do, then this is even better. It's like, wow.
And okay. I do, and I think you're watching the emotion that takes place on that ship in Apollo 13 between Kevin Bacon and Tom Hanks and is
Paxton, Bill Paxton, yeah.
Bill Paxton. And that's great, and it's a great the way it's done, but instead of just feeling that emotional connection between the characters, I feel like this movie, actually, you see the emotional connection between the characters, but you also, as an audience, feel that emotional connection towards the characters in the film as well.
I want to ask this, which is my bizarre moon landing trivia. I am not making light of this, although it sounds like I should be. Did they play any Pink Floyd music at any point during the movie?
No, just Stanley Kubrick part. No, I'm just kidding. 2001.
That's my trivia thing. When they were broadcasting the moon landing in the UK, they were doing it live, but they didn't have a whole lot of sound to go with it, so they brought in a band to play for like 8 hours while they were waiting for the ship to land, and the band they brought in was Pink Floyd.
That's really funny.
So there was this 8-hour Pink Floyd jam session while the ship was landing.
That's crazy.
That's actually, yeah. I mean, there's music that's involved in First Man that everybody will know, but that is interesting. I mean, they do show, and they show England, obviously, and they show other parts of the world, China especially, and there's a little bit of hinting as far as the space race that's going on with the Russians at that time, but. Yeah, I mean, the music's fine, but it didn't really strike me. Again, it was more
character-driven than anything.
No, it was more the sound or not sound. It wasn't even the music. It was that when he's walking onto the moon, there's no sound, because there wouldn't be any sound.
Right.
And it's like nothing.
It makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
So, do we think Damien Chazelle can maybe direct? I mean, Whiplash, La La Land, First Man. It's like.
Got lucky with First Man. That's all. No,
kind of crazy. A little crazy. It was like, man, alive.
And the good thing about it is, I think he's forming one of these partnerships that sometimes directors and actors have. And he seems to have it with Gosling, who is a good actor. But I mean, we've talked about it on other shows before. Just about there are certain directors, De Niro and Scorsese, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And I think they have that same kind of connection. I think it drives the film. It makes a film successful based on that, because you can trust that relationship.
Indeed. Very cool. I'm looking forward to First Man for sure.
See, and I have nothing to do. Okay, I did see something this week. Watch this. Quick review. I watched Constantine, City of Demons. Came out on DVD this week. If you liked Constantine, the TV series, you'll like this because it's the same thing, only animated. See? How quick a review was that? It's not going to be nominated for an Oscar.
No more in depth than that. I've seen like the first half of it, and I thought it was really, really good. I really liked it.
It is. It's a very fun extended Constantine episode that's animated. What else do you need to say about it? I mean, I was expecting there to be more, and I was slightly disappointed that there wasn't.
Same actor.
Same actor.
Can I ask you this real fast? It's not about Constantine, but about just movies going forward. Do you guys have any interest in seeing and maybe reviewing the Halloween film that comes out this week?
I do, because I like the original. Not like the 18,000 sequels, but the original.
Which have been retconned.
Which is great, which is one of the good things about this. If supposedly several early things say this may actually be better than the first, which that's pretty powerful because the first one is it's a great movie. It's so far beyond. My daughter wants to go see it,
and I may bring her in to review it.
It was really weird because actually my dad and I actually went to see the first movie, which is weird because he didn't go to movies that often. For whatever reason, he wanted to see this movie. So,
it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Probably was.
Or they thought it was another Christopher Guest film, maybe. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I have high hopes for it. So apparently,
we found out what the mask that he wears is made of. In this one, it's made out of Activia.
Sat on a shelf for 40 years. That's why it holds together so well.
There you go. Most people use plaster. Who knew?
It's actually the skin of William Shatner. It's not a mask. It's actually his skin.
Yeah, there's a good note to end the show on. Come back on actually Monday, which is the new day we're going to be doing the Cinema Savants new show, or come back next Friday and find out what we watched so you don't have to. Although this week, go see the movies we did. And if you don't see those, go see another movie anyway.
That's pretty much it.